Mark Carney, the former governor of the Bank of Canada and the governor of the Bank of England, and a UN envoy on green energy and finance, announced his bid for the leadership of the Liberal Party to replace Justin Trudeau in Edmonton this week. Are we in Edmonton supposed to be excited by this? The man still believes mostly that we need to phase out Alberta's number one industry, which is oil and gas. He may now not be in favor of a carbon tax anymore, or he might be. He's a little wishy-washy on that. But overall, he still believes that we have to go to green energy. Now, green energy doesn't work very many places without huge subsidies from taxpayers. Wind turbines, solar panels, all sorts of other ideas like biomass, burning wood chips to create energy. They just don't work in most places unless there are enormous subsidies from taxpayers. Take a look, for instance, at the electric vehicle business. The federal and provincial governments in Canada, Ontario, and Quebec have put almost $55 billion into EV plants. And EV sales are declining. EVs are not taking over from internal combustion engines. And you just watch, as of April of this year, the federal government is getting rid of its $5,000 an EV subsidy to buyers. People will stop buying them too. So there was Mark Carney in Edmonton being asked, Mr. Carney, you have said you don't think the carbon tax is very effective anymore. Would you get rid of it? He could not give a straight answer. He's there in Edmonton to try and convince people outside Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa, that nice little golden triangle. He's there to try and convince people outside that triangle that he's their guy. He understands their reality. He's in favor of pumping up the economy so that they have better jobs, higher incomes, and are better able to afford housing. But he couldn't answer a simple question about the carbon tax. Mr. Carney, yes or no? Do you favor getting rid of the carbon tax, which has added to the cost of living in Canada, directly and indirectly, and is incredibly unpopular, and at the same time has not appreciably reduced emissions? It was brought in to reduce emissions, and it hasn't yet done that. But he said, I'm going to be the candidate of economic growth. Well, that might put him ahead of Chrystia Freeland, because she's part of a government that for the last 10 years has done everything it possibly could to stunt growth in Canada. For instance, take a look at Donald Trump's tariff threats against Canada. If we had a pipeline to the East Coast called Energy East, or the Northern Gateway pipeline out to the West Coast, we could get around the Americans putting pressure on us with tariffs, because we could ship oil into Europe. We could ship oil to Asia. We could have undermined Putin's efforts to go after the Ukraine by squeezing European oil and gas supplies if we'd had pipelines and LNG to send fuel, to send energy to the Europeans. But we don't, because of the government that Chrystia Freeland was involved in, cut all of that off with her acquiescence. But is Carney any better? I don't think so. He still goes around the world as a UN envoy, or did until he made his announcement in Edmonton, pushing for more and more and more subsidies for green energy and getting rid of fossil fuels. He doesn't answer the questions about how he would make the economy better directly. He was asked, as I said, do you support a carbon tax? He said, well, I support a tax that would be more efficient. That means raising more money. That would be more effective. That means reducing more emissions. And, this is a good one, that would drive massive investment. What he's looking for is the unicorn of taxes. It doesn't exist. A tax that is effective, efficient, and drives investment. Welcome to Fantasy Island. That's the Mark Carney campaign. For Post Media, I'm Lorne Gunter.